Back for another edition of whatever we're going to call this. I don't even know yet. But it's myself, Adam Adkisson, Councilman for District 1, and the former Mayor of Coalinga, Nathan Vosburg, often known as the sixth member of the council.
How are you guys doing tonight? Hope everyone had a wonderful Halloween. I know we had hardly anyone
Yeah, not many.
trick-or-treating. That was interesting.
It sounds like a lot of them went to Post Chene. It seems like they got hit pretty good. So
Really?
At least we had some people out there trick or treating. Over here we had I don't know, 20 people maybe.
Yeah, we went through. Well, so I shouldn't say we didn't have hardly any. I think we had 300 pieces of candy, and by the time we were done, I think we had like 15. So we probably had
not
like
bad.
285 or so.
Better than here.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. Yeah. So what do we got tonight?
So today we're just going to make this fairly quick. It's just going to be a quick review of some of the state ballot measures. We picked out just a couple that we think pertain particularly to Coalinga and how it would affect us. Not just as a statewide ballot initiative, but also how it would affect us in our community. I just wanted to review those real quick, go over them, and then we're going to move on to other things that pertain directly to Coalinga, like mayors, how we choose a mayor, how we may choose a mayor in the future. We'll also talk about cannabis, and we'll talk about the candidates that are running for council. So I think we should start with the ballot measures first. We're not going to go over all of them like we did before. We're just going to go over a couple of them. And I think these really pertain to Coalinga, and they're directly tied to our community. And I think we're going to talk about those. The first one is Prop 15. Prop 15 is going to increase taxes on commercial properties. Now, it sounds all good and great because they say that it's going to go to schools and communities. Anytime they say it's going to go to the school, it automatically means it's not going to go to the school, or a very small amount of it's going to go to the school. All we have to do is look at our lottery system. That was supposed to provide billions to our schools, and it hasn't. So anytime the state government comes in and they tell you they want to increase taxes and they want to use those tax increases for schools, and just know that it's going to go to the and part, not the schools. The schools is just used to pass the proposition. The and part is probably where the money is going to go. So how this directly affects Coalinga is when we're going to raise property taxes on commercial buildings such as Save Mart, Rite Aid, Walgreens. You can automatically guarantee that if their taxes are raised, they're going to pass that off to the consumer, which is you and me, which means that their prices for their items are going to be more than they were before. So I'm a big no on Prop 15.
So I'm also a no on 15, and I'll explain why. It's because it creates what they call a price floor, which means that no matter what, the price has to be at least this specific amount. And that specific amount would be the amount that we're getting taxed. And anytime you put a price floor in, it raises the price to the consumers. And so that means that we are all going to pay for this. This is not just taxing in industrial and commercial buildings. We're talking about solar farms. We're talking about oil. Mm-hmm. You want your gas to go up? This is a great way to do that. Just tax yourself. What we know is that big business is not going to eat this.
Right.
They never eat this. They haven't in the past. They're going to pass it on to the consumer. The way that they get their profits is that they find out how much it's going to cost them to do business, and this will be an increased cost. Mm-hmm. In fact, if here's something to think about, is that let's say some of these distribution businesses decide that price floor is too high, and they decide to leave because they can't compete. And so if it becomes cheaper for them to import those items, then they'll leave California. Right. That'll be less tax revenue, and then that will also be a less amount of supply, and our demand will be the same or more even because more people come. And so what will happen is it will cause a shortage, which will increase prices. Right. And so, yeah, I'm a big no on 15. Yeah. It's supposedly going to raise a lot of money. Just so you know, though, let's follow the money. The people that have put the most into this is the California Teachers Union, CTA, and Mark Zuckerberg and SEIU. Those are the leading funders for Proposition 15.
Right. And it's hard for me to believe that the answer to some of our problems in a state where we have the highest taxes in the nation is just one more tax. At some point, the issue isn't the taxes. The issue is the spending. We've seen already, we've lost a Tesla company, which is moving to Texas, I believe. Learjet is leaving Long Beach and taking 700 jobs with them. Every day there's a new business leaving California, and every day there's more people leaving California, particularly in the middle class. We're taxed to death here. We need to stop. At some point, we need to say enough is enough. So that's it on Prop 15. We'll move on. We'll skip over to Prop 20. Prop 20 is going to change parts of AB 109, Prop 47, and 57. That has caused, particularly Prop 47, 57, has caused a huge increase in crime. It changes, some of the things that it'll change is it'll be a felony now to steal more than $250 worth of products, and where now it's, if you steal less than $950 worth of products, it's a misdemeanor. If you steal more than $950, then it's a felony. Well, now it's, what Prop 20 tries to change is if you steal $250 worth of items in a store, that's a felony. And the reason why they want this to change is because there has been so much thievery going on in a lot of our stores that the business owners are just tired of it, and they can't keep operating their business in this kind of fashion. Also, it's going to change the violent felony categorizations for the following. Drugging and raping someone was considered non-violent. Raping a developmentally disabled person was considered non-violent. A drive-by shooting where no one was shot was considered non-violent. Human trafficking of a child was considered non-violent. So it's going to recategorize these things that I just mentioned and make them violent felonies, which makes it much harder for parole when these people are eligible for parole. I'm a firm yes on Prop 20. I think it's going to help with some of our crime-related issues, and it's going to be a direct repudiation of the state and the way that they want our criminal justice system to be moved farther and farther to the left.
Yeah, so I'm also a solid yes on Prop 20 because basically what it does is brings that needle back to the middle. It's already went all the way to the right, all the way, or to the left, whatever you want to call it. It's went all the way one direction. And so what we really need to do is bring that back to the center. And, everyone realizes that there was some needed to be changed in the laws. And people voted on those changes, but they didn't realize what they were really voting on because they hide this stuff.
Yeah.
They hide this stuff. And so this is going to be something to bring it back to the middle, and it will actually make people accountable for the crimes that they commit. And if anyone is really worried about this, just know that California still controls their own judges, and people probably still won't go to jail for this or anything. So, this is California, where it's a revolving door.
Yeah.
And so we can hope for the best, and this is the best foot forward. And so I'm a solid yes on 20 as well.
So next is Prop 22. Prop 22 is going to consider app-based drivers such as Lyft, Uber, some of the ones that involve groceries. What are they called? Do you have any idea? I can't remember at the moment, but it's going to make them independent contractors instead of employees.
Like the DoorDash.
Right, DoorDash. Yeah, exactly. And I'm a yes on Prop 22. I think, as Lyft and Uber have already said, if this passes, they're going to move out of California. Everybody who goes to work for Lyft or Uber does it on their own accord. Okay? We don't need the government getting involved and telling us that these are employees and not independent contractors. If you want to work for Lyft, go work for Lyft. But the government doesn't need to get involved in every single aspect of our lives. Uber and Lyft have already saved countless number of lives by being used instead of drunk driving and getting around, even for poor people. Instacart, there you go. There's another one. It's just a great tool that we have as a society, is to be able to go to Lyft or Uber and get a ride to pretty much wherever we need to get to. And to make that to change that, for California to try and take that away by making them employees instead of independent contractors, is absolutely absurd. It goes on and it shows how absurd the state government has gotten.
Yeah, so we're going to agree across the line on these, I think. As I am a definite yes for Prop 22. And the thing is this stems back from AB 5. And AB 5 was when they basically attempted to take away anyone to be able to work as a private contractor. They left very little on the table. Right. And this included people that were writing newspaper articles. You couldn't write more than 30 a year, or else you were considered an employee. And let me tell you that this is a direct attack on small business.
Yep.
That's what this is, because all of those private contractors are actually individual businesses. Those people have to report that income on their taxes, and people that create that income and do that, they are also allowed to take the write-offs that go along with it. So you can write off your gas mileage. You can write off if you're using a part of your house to do that type of business. And so what they're basically saying is that they're going to categorize you as an employee, even if you're a sole proprietor doing, a service for somebody repetitively. And so again, this is another price floor that they're putting in, because what they're saying is that, what they're saying is that you are going to have to pay this specific price. And the reason is because there's payroll taxes that go involved in this. There's an hourly minimum wage that goes involved in this. And so a lot of people, here's where it's going to hit the consumer again. It's going to create that price floor, which means you're going to have to pay these rates no matter what, which is going to take and raise all the prices on rides, which, to be honest with you, we shouldn't be surprised, because the unions were the ones that were really pushing Newsom's campaign. They were 100% behind him. They wanted this. He said that he wasn't going to do this, and he's done exactly the opposite of what he said he would do. And I'm not surprised at all. So here we are, and you have a choice whether or not you want to tax yourself, because this is a form of tax. This is because you're going to be paying for it. You will no longer be able to get Uber rides for cheap. Even if Uber would stay, it would be a lot more expensive. Yeah. It'd be similar to a taxi. And there wouldn't be that competition where people urge to show up first because they want to get that ride. And then overall, this raises prices for the consumer. And I don't see that by doing this, you're really helping anyone, because really tons of people are just going to lose their jobs if the opportunities aren't here. And by saying that, well, that these people deserve to get paid more, well, they could choose to work somewhere else. That's the thing. You're taking away
take
choice.
It on your own choice.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's crazy. And Instacart and DoorDash, I mean, those are some lifelines for seniors and also people who are disabled. Anyways, so that's all the ballot measures we're going to go over this time.
What about 25?
Oh, 25
yeah. 25 super important. We talk about 25.
25, the one that matters the most to me. 25 would get rid of bail. This is absolutely absurd. Every state that this has been tried in has seen a huge increase in crime. Look at New York City. Look at what happened during the pandemic when the state decided they were going to go to zero bail. In fact, Fresno County is still in zero bail, which means Coalinga is still in zero bail. And we have seen with our own eyes, we can hear it at night when we hear the gunshots going off. Zero bail has caused a 129% increase in violent crime in Fresno County. We cannot let this continue. Just imagine what this is going to do to our community if this continues. Our home prices are going to go down. Our business prices are going to down. No one's going to come to Coalinga even more with the huge increase in crime. At some point, we have to tell the state government, enough is enough. This is where we draw the line. And when we think about it, who's going to go after these people who don't show up to court? Right now, it's all privately funded. So I'm a bounty hunter, and so this is a very important one to me. When a person doesn't go to court now, they give it to me. I'm privately funded. I don't take any taxpayer dollars. I'm funded completely off the companies who bail these people out. And every time I go after somebody, it's all off the dollars of privately funded companies that I work for. Now, who's going to go after them now? They say the probation department's going to go after them. The probation department's already completely overwhelmed. They can't even do the job they're doing now, let alone adding on all these people who don't go to court. It's just absolute insanity. It's insanity. Stop the nonsense, and it needs to stop. And we can stop it. Got to go out there and vote. Vote no on 25, and tell the state government. Send a message to the state government. We're sick and tired of the crime. It's real easy to be in Sacramento and live in a huge house that has huge walls around it and not understand about the crime that's going on all over up and down California. It's real easy for them to tell us, oh, we need to do this and we need to do that. Well, we're the ones living in the real world. We see the consequences of their decisions every single day. City councils see the consequences of zero bail every single day. Police departments all around this state see the consequences of zero bail every single day. Enough is enough. This is where we need to stop it and put an end to it.
So again, I'm going to have to agree with you on Proposition 25, which replaces the cash bail with risk assessments, which
It's never worked.
it's never worked. And the really big problem that I can see with this is that, like Councilman Adkisson said, the crime just gets out of control. Our officers already don't have the resources that they should. Nationwide, in Coalinga specifically, and this is where this is going to affect you guys right here at home, is because we are not a large community, and so we don't have all the resources or the tax revenue to be able to give our PD the things that we would want. You know, we try our best as a community. We even put the tax on, and they've gotten a lot of that tax money, but they need more. And why? Because of things like this. You know, and we can't let this be the norm. We don't want this to be the norm. People, just recently, I'll share a story with you. I was reading a course on Facebook, and it was one of the county sheriffs, I'm not going to name which one, and it was their association page, and they were talking about that in the last 2 months or so that they've run multiple stings on child molesting operations. And they keep getting let out. The same people, they're getting them in trouble, and they're getting let out.
And they're arresting them again and again for the same child molestation charges.
Right.
Because there's no consequence.
That's horrible. So we need to all, just, we're going to be biased on this, on all these measures, but there is some bias, We're telling you what we think. And so, yeah, if you care about your kids, vote yes on. Is it yes or no?
No.
These are all
no on 25.
These are vote no on 25.
Please, for the love of God, no on 25. If you don't take anything from what we've said so far, please take that away. No on 25. Okay. Moving on, we're gonna go away from the ballot measures now. We're gonna talk about a little something we had this weekend for Halloween. We had the haunted theater here in Coalinga. It was a great little event. Lots of kids showed up. We had Trunks for Treats right outside in the parking lot. I think Andrea Rosas put it on or helped put it on. I know I saw Jim Horn there with the music. The Coalinga Fire Department and Police Department all participated, handed out candy. The inside of the theater, I must say, that was pretty. That was done pretty amazingly. I think the Elks is the one who put it on, and they did a great job decorating. It looked awesome. Mary Jones was in there too as a witch. It was pretty cool. I had a good time. I took my son. We had a great time. It's nice to have something like that in Coalinga, and it's nice to have people actually show up to these kinds of things. Okay, now we're going to move on to mayors in Coalinga. We're going to talk about how they're chosen, how a mayor in Coalinga is chosen. It's not actually chosen by the people. It's different than you may think that a mayor is chosen. Currently in Coalinga, as our former mayor knows, the mayor is chosen by the council. So 5 people decide who the mayor is going to be, and honestly, you only need 3 people to decide. So 3 people...
2 besides yourself.
Yeah, 2 besides yourself. So 3 total could be the only people who decide the mayor in all of Coalinga, and all 16,000 people in Coalinga. It comes down to 3 people. I think that's absolutely absurd that only 3 people can decide the mayor. I'd like to see it changed. I'd like to see us go from 5 districts that we are now into 4 districts. And I'd like to see the mayor voted on by Coalinga as a whole. I think that a mayor that answers only to the council instead of the people is not something that we should have. I believe the mayor should be beholden to the people and not the council, because if you have a mayor that's only beholden to the council, then they may make decisions that will keep them in as the mayor instead of making the best decisions that will benefit the people the most. Now, I'm not saying that happens now. I'm just saying it can create something like that. I think the people should decide who the mayor is going to be. I think it's a lot more beneficial to the city if we have one face up there for 4 years who goes to our state representatives, who goes to our federal representatives, who goes to other cities, other groups, other clubs or whatever, the League of California Cities, as the direct representation for the people of Coalinga than it constantly changing all the time. And let's say a mayor does something the council doesn't like, they get voted out, and a new mayor comes in, and it starts this whole process all over again. I think the most beneficial thing for Coalinga is to have a mayor that's there for 4 years and that answers directly to the people instead of a mayor that answers to the council. That's my opinion.
So, I agree with you on this. I took a poll on Facebook and I asked a very simple question. Do you think the mayor should be appointed or an elected position? Now, I didn't include any price tags. I didn't include any ands, if, or buts. A lot of times people don't know how much things cost in government. Having outside attorney fees is $125,000 a year. So for a city that's bringing in between 6 and 9 million in revenue, these numbers that look large, and they are large, but it's part of doing business and it's what you do. So in Huron, they're electing their mayor, and they do it every 2 years. I'm a huge proponent. I tried when I was in council to get this put on the agenda, but it was always about the cost of how much it would cost to get the item put on the ballot, how much the attorney's fees would be in order to, basically you have to redo the way that the city's charter is to state what the mayor's duties would be. I like the way that Huron does it. It's a 2-year position. That way, if for some reason the public is unhappy with that person, they can put somebody else in. And then just like you said, you can't play politics with the mayor position. And that absolutely has happened many a times in not just Coalinga Council, but all the time. When the mayor position is on the table, and it's always on the table because council can, with 3 votes, pretty much put anything on the agenda and change anything that's been done, which is a good thing. But it also leads to those kind of issues where you can put something on. Let's say you don't like the way someone's done something, you can put a realignment on. Right. You get 3 people to agree with the realignment, and then you can move forward with replacing the mayor, even though that mayor may have done what the public wanted, but the council is unhappy with that person. Right. I would like to say that I think that would be a benefit to the city. And I sent an email off to the county clerk to find out just how much money that would cost. I know in the past people have said anywhere from $75,000 to $100,000, and I don't think that that's true. I think it's the initial cost of putting it on the ballot would be anywhere between 15 and 30, and that's about how much it would be. No more than any position that you put on for a council member in the first place. Right. It would just be replacing that council person with the mayor. And the first would be an additional probably $30,000 for the people to decide whether or not that's what they want to do. And just so you know, if the city doesn't do it, the public can push a referendum and do it themselves. And they've done that in multiple cities. And so then the city has to pay for it regardless for that to be done. And so, Fresno, they elect their own mayor. The Huron elects their own mayor. I think Clovis does a rotating mayor. And so it's a matter of what the citizens in the town want to do. And I think that the citizens, by looking at the poll that I did, favor taking that mayor's position and giving their voice to it. And that's what I would support too.
Yeah. I think it's just all around better for the people of Coalinga. All right. Today we also had a Freedom and Prayer rally here in Coalinga. It was put on by Coalinga United or Unite Coalinga or something similar to Unite Coalinga. Very well done. We walked around various parts of Coalinga. Everyone had the flags. It was very nice. It was nice to get out and nice to associate with other people and just take a nice walk around town and pray in various spots. It was just a great event all around. I was very happy to participate in that.
For those that don't know, could you kind of tell people what United Coalinga is about?
Right. So United Coalinga is more of a group in Coalinga of concerned citizens that come together. I don't know exactly how to say it. They come together in case something ever happens, right? It's a group that also watches the government, but also watches out for the people and businesses in Coalinga. And it's just a group that you want to be a part of if something ever happens. We keep hearing about all of this violence that may happen after the election, and this is a group that we all want to be around in case anything happens in Coalinga. I'm sure they can explain it to you a lot better.
There was a write-up in the paper that would explain it. I haven't been to any of their meetings, but I did get a call from someone that was in the group, and they explained it to me, and how they explained it was very similar to how you explained it. And it seems like a group of caring people that want to get together and make sure that they can help others in any kind of disaster, any kind of need. A lot of church members involved. Like, they did the thing, which unfortunately I couldn't attend. My niece had her 14th birthday today, and so happy birthday, Madison. And so I was out there doing that, and so but I support their movement. I think the movement's a good thing, and
They're good people too.
So if you get a chance and you get an invite to attend a meeting.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so next we're going to talk about some cannabis-related issues that are going to be coming before the council. Specifically, there's going to be two in the next meeting. One is going to deal with a group called SCI. They're a group that kind of monitors our cannabis companies, and they make sure that they're in compliance with our rules, our regulations, our ordinances that we already have in place in Coalinga. They spend like something ridiculous, 10 hours a month watching cameras and checking employees and various other things. This was something that was put in place originally to help Coalinga as we move forward with cannabis, to help us regulate these companies and make sure they're doing what they're supposed to. And it wasn't supposed to be something that lasted forever. In fact, we said, or council said, this was before I was on council. Council said it many times that this is not something that's supposed to be permanent. This is just a temporary thing, because when these cannabis companies pay their business licenses and what else do they pay?
They pay the fee for from the state.
Yeah, different fees and stuff. They actually pay for one Coalinga police officer that is supposed to monitor some of their things that they do. So I'd like to see this get taken off. I mean, this is going to save the cannabis companies each around $30,000, and that's going to allow them to invest more in their company. That's going to allow them to hire people. It's going to allow them to expand their operations. If we look at Next Green Wave, they have one building, but they own several lots. Well, the taxes are too high right now for them to build their next building. The fees are too high for them right now to invest more in their companies. So this is a way I think that'll help Coalinga. It'll help attract more jobs here. Cutting our license fees in half is going to have a big effect. We need to take advantage of the companies that want to come here, because we really don't have people banging down the door of Coalinga trying to get in here. So we have to take advantage of the ones that do.
So I was on council when this went down with SCI, and Coalinga being one of the first, if not the first, in the Central Valley to delve into cannabis, we did everything that we could to guarantee the safety of our public. In fact, we went up and above and beyond and put a huge burden on the cannabis companies, and the cannabis companies that came in decided that burden, that they agreed with that at that moment in time, because they themselves, it's a new industry. They themselves wanted to make sure that everyone was protected and that everyone was safe. And I remember, it's still on tape. You can go back and look. I think it was long ago, but the overall is that at some point in time, the city was going to take over. And let me explain to you how this happens. So right now, for a cultivation of 10,000 square feet, the total license fee that a company pays, so there's two parts to the fees. One is the license fee and one is the taxation aspect of it, or the revenue raising portion of it. So this that I'm talking about right now is not in the revenue raising. Revenue raising is a tax that actually can benefit the city coffers. The fee is not supposed to benefit the city. It only pays for the cost of doing business. And so it's $45,202 per year for cultivation up to 10,000 square feet. Now, at the time, when Coalinga was the only person in the game in the Central Valley, it was expensive, but it was okay because that allowed the price floor was set like that for everyone, because there was no competition around us doing that except for the black market. Now we have all kinds of other cities that have come into this. Right. We've had Parlier come into this. We've had the city of Hanford moving into this. We have the city of Lemoore. We have Fresno that within a year is going to open up at least 18 different dispensaries, and that's not talking about all the things that are going to be growing on the ground and all of those things. Well, now that this is up and running, and now that it is, they figured out a lot of their logistics. Now these businesses are competing with places in Los Angeles. Yep. And once again, this is a price floor. So this is a price floor minimally that they have to pay. And so when we want our businesses to stay in business in Coalinga, we're going to have to make it more competitive. And so how we do that is we take this and we take the portion of SCI away, like that was specifically what was going to happen. It's in the minutes. It's on video. Everyone can check it out. I remember Sean, Marissa, the chief, everyone at the time was all into this, that the city was going to be able to take this part over, and it would actually take the fees down for that same 10,000 square acre feet down to $27,975, which that's a lot more doable.
That's a little near $20,000.
Right, and let me just tell you, a lot of cities have no compliance in there, and this isn't going to. So this is not. My personal opinion, this is not going to affect the safety of the places around there. Right. We've had hardly, I think, a handful of calls to go out to any of these places, and a lot of them have been your normal calls where someone got something stolen out of their car or someone had a dispute. They haven't been things that the doom and gloom about cannabis surrounded. Right. So this is a start, if you ask me, and it's going to be the end of it in Coalinga. If we don't do something about it, because they'll have to pull out and they'll go somewhere else. Right. And see, this actually is funding police and fire. It really is. This money right here is coming in. I think the last meeting where High Times was there, and by the way, I'm going to give a shout out to High Times, because I don't know if anyone paid attention, but High Times at the last, it was maybe 2 meetings ago, was it when Paul called in and he stated that they had planned on rebranding the Coalinga Have a Heart into the first High Times in the entire world. And so Coalinga, from what he said, should be the first High Times dispensary in the entire world, that's a pretty big deal for a magazine that's been around for a long time. And so he said that they had already paid $280,000 and they were going to drop another check for $90,000. Yep. That is your revenue raising fee.
Yeah. So, I mean, you lose the cannabis companies, and you're going to lose these revenue all over the place. And Coalinga's going to go backwards very quickly. Another cannabis issue that's going to come before council at the next meeting is the regulated distance that we have from schools. Currently, California requires that all cannabis establishments, I believe, need to be 600 feet away from schools. Right now, Coalinga has gone above and beyond that and has maintained that all cannabis businesses need to be 1,800 feet away from schools. Now that one of the things we're trying to change is to go from 1,800 feet to 1,000 feet away from schools, and that's going to open up several of our industrial businesses that are along by the Caballo Club, and basically it's going to go from where the across from the Caballo Club now to Pacific Street, which is the street right behind Fox Hollow. So it's going to open up like where Blue Valley Automotive used to be, That's been on the market for quite some time and has had no interest, no interest, it seems like, of anyone who wants to buy it. Well, if we open up all those businesses to possibly be cannabis businesses, we're going to have a lot of the businesses being able to be sold. They're going to be spruced up to look a lot better than they are now. And it's just going to be a win-win for Coalinga. I mean, we're going to bring in jobs. We're going to bring in revenue. We're going to have buildings that are just sitting there actually occupied by businesses. So I'm in favor of changing the distance to 1,000 feet. That's still above what the state requires of 600 feet. We're at 1,000 feet. It's almost double what the state requires. I think it's just beneficial to Coalinga if we do pass that.
So this is another thing that we said that we were going to start off with and be very conservative. And we were going to, we took a lot of input from people in on this. And one of the concerns was how dangerous was manufacturing. How dangerous inside is manufacturing. We needed our police and our fire and our OSHA and everyone else to be on the same page, which they were not. And so we made a lot of rules and decisions based on that and making sure that we would keep people safe. And now, years after into this, the state itself has changed a lot of rules to make sure that, and for those that don't know, the state is monitoring this. That's the thing. People think, oh, you're taking monitoring away. No, you're not. The state is still monitoring people. The state is still monitoring. They have to pay a license fee to the state to be able to do this, and that license fee goes towards monitoring. Where they have, 3 agencies now. They had 1 back then, and they didn't even know what they were doing. So they actually looked a lot at what Coalinga did and followed a lot what we did and find out what it was that we were doing right, what it was we were doing wrong. They made changes. They followed other cities too. And the 600 feet thing, I think we've had businesses in that area that wanted to sell their property, and they wanted to turn into, and we had investors that wanted to do that. So I think it'd be a good idea because it's going to increase the supply, which is the amount, which is going to bring down rents and things for existing people because there'll be other places that they could move to. And the main thing is the jobs. The amount of tax money that we can collect from these businesses is menial compared to how much money people spend in the community if you give them jobs. Right. And so what? Next Green Wave has 40 to 50 employees. Ocean Grown, at one time I know they had like 60 employees out there. And the gummy place, I don't know what their name is, forgive me, but they have employees. Cola. And then Beard Brothers Farms is out there. And then, there's 2 or 3 places within Claremont that are doing business as well. Wild. And those places are jobs for people. And then those jobs provide them to be able to take care of their families. And then they also spend it with our businesses here in Coalinga. And the more that we can get that reciprocal thing going around where, we even have Next Green Wave now selling their products at the dispensary, which is really cool. A product that's made in Coalinga that is now being sold in Coalinga and distributed in Coalinga, and then the tax dollars are staying here. Yep. And so I think that's a really cool thing. I know not everyone agrees with the cannabis. I think it's been a positive thing to our economy so far, though.
Yeah, exactly. All right, we're gonna round this out and end it with the. We're going to talk about the candidates very briefly in our local elections. As you know, Mayor Lander. Sorry, Mayor Lander is taking off. He's retiring from the council. He's been there for 20 plus years. He's been the mayor for half that time at least. And Councilwoman Stoltz is leaving. She's not running for re-election. In District 2, we have Jim Horn, who's going to be running against Andrea Rosas. Both of them are very good people. I don't have anything negative to say about either one of them. I like them both. I can't wait to work with either one of them here on the council. Also in District 4, which was Tanya's district, we have Kevin Donaldson running. We have Manny Ramirez running, and we have Ruth Thurman running. And all 3 of those are very good people as well. I'm excited to work with them as well. I can't wait to see what they will bring to the council. And I think it's very good that they ran. running for council is not an easy thing. Putting yourself out there like that is not an easy thing. It's just nice to see people step up to the plate of all different ages, of different races, and see what they can do to help make Coalinga a better place.
So I completely agree, and I think no matter who gets elected, it's going to be a different council, and I think that all of them are doers.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the things that I could point out notably, Andrea, event setter. She puts events together, and events that I never thought would take off, they have taken off, and she's done quite a good job at that. She's attended council meetings. She's been involved with the passage of different kind of legislation. She's been out there trying to get people yes or no's on those. Mr. Horn, he has put a lot of his time into donating his time for the music and the sound setup. Lots of different events that I've been at, he has set up the sound, and he has donated his time.
Right.
Very good at that. He also a small business owner. Ran the Whiskey Row, right? Did that as well. He also works locally, doing welding as a local welder. That's a good thing. You know, between that race, either one of them are going to be good on the council. And then let's move into, Kevin Donaldson. Kevin Donaldson has attended plenty of council meetings. And he asked questions. He wanted to be a planning commissioner at one point in time. He's thrown his hat into the ring. He says, he's involved online, when people talk about different issues. Of course, me and you haven't always agreed with him on issues, and that's a good thing. Because when someone's willing to put their name out there and disagree with someone, that means that they have the moral standards that it takes to be a council person. Because we don't want just yes men. We want people that are just yes women. We want people who are actually going to work for the people. And I think he'd be good at it. Manny Ramirez. Love Manny. Manny has been involved in almost every sport that I've been ever involved in, including my kids. So he's always there. He's currently at the Park and Rec. Yep. And he wants things to move forward. He's one person at the Park and Rec, and so I've been to meetings before, and he is kind of like I was on council. He has a very big box of things that he wants to get done, and so he right now is attempting to do all of them. And I think that Manny would be a great decision to get on council. And then lastly, Ruth, I think she told me she was a first-year citizen.
Oh yeah.
How hard?
Generation?
How hard would that to be, right? To jump into city politics and want to do that. She started multiple different projects, like the Ruthie's Bottled Water Project. Yeah. She has went out and fed the homeless. She has attended tons of city events where she's invited other people to help. She did a cleanup event.
Cleanup, yeah, exactly.
Right. And so I just want to say that I have spent at least an hour with every one of these candidates, and whoever gets in, Coalinga is going to be a better place, and not because people are leaving. In fact, to be honest with you, I just want to say that I'm happy that that Ms. Stoltz put in her time at the city council. I know that we differ on a lot of opinions and a lot of things, but to get up there and to do that is quite the job, and so I thank her for doing that. And for Mayor Lander, wow, how many years, right? Yeah. In fact, hold on, I'm not going to let you out of this because we talk about everything. You have an agenda item.
I do. On
here, and let's see what it says. Discussion, direction, and potential action regarding renaming the portion of Durian in front of City Hall to Lander Lane. What do you think about that?
Well, it says something to be in a position in Coalinga, like the city council, for 20 plus years. When you talk to anybody who talks about Coalinga, they talk about Ron Lander. Ron Lander kind of is the council in a way. Ron Lander has been the mayor for so long that, off and on mayor, but for his total years of service, 20 plus years, he's been mayor for well over half of that. He's been through it all with the city of Coalinga, and I think the very least we can do to thank him for the service that he has done to our community and to the city is to rename the street right outside City Hall to Lander Lane. So I put that on the agenda. I hope it passes. Ron deserves it. He's been around for a while. I mean, he's gone through some heavy stuff with cities and various things that happened to his family. You hear his stories about some of the wars he's got into with people around Coalinga and some of the city departments in years past. It's been pretty bad, and he's endured all that in order to try and make Coalinga a better place. And I think the least we can do is rename the street right outside City Hall after him.
So amazingly enough, I have been one of Mayor Lander's largest critics. I have, and but that doesn't mean that I don't respect him.
Right.
I have tons of respect for him, and I told them when I got off council I was going to be their largest critic, and I was. And that being said, I agree. Mayor Lander deserves to have this. And when I first came into council, I leaned on him for advice. Mm-hmm. I think you guys still lean on him for advice and wisdom, right, especially in closed session items. Yep. He's there. He can tell you why it happened, when it happened. Mm-hmm. He has a book. Yep. He has a couple of different books and folders full of stuff that's happened. And so this will be a loss for Coalinga to not have his wisdom on the council, and it's going to take a while before we get people with that kind of wisdom that are back on the council and keeping that going. And it may not happen, since we got term limits in there. And so I would say that I'm super happy that you put this forward. I had called Marissa, the city manager, and asked her if there was anything that I thought that we could do, and she had told me that you were planning this, and so this outshadows anything that I could have thought of. And so I'm in full support of this, and I really hope that it could be done, and that if we could get mayors from other cities, which he knows pretty much all of them, to come, and I'm sure that they would support this, and it would be kind of like hey, you've done a great job for our city, and you've put in a lot of time. So I support this.
Well, that's all we got for today, I think. We went a little longer than what we had planned or anticipated. We hope you enjoy this. If you see us around town, let us know if you like it, if you want us to keep going with it. If you have any items you want us to bring up, let us know. All right, Coalinga, it's good to see you. Have a good week. We have voting coming up on November 3rd. We don't know what we're going to look like on November 4th. We may have lots of violence. I hope we don't, but make sure that you are prepared. You and your family are prepared for anything that may come. I'm a little nervous about what's going to happen, but we'll see. Anyways, take care of yourself. We'll talk to you later.
Take care, Coalinga.